Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So on today's video we'll be growing Japanese maples from seed, and I've already done a video showing you an experimental method using paper towels to germinate seed. That worked well. Them two are still alive, they're in my terrarium in the lounge. But today's video is more conventional seed sowing method, just bog standard, putting your seed in compost and germinating them that way. So these are some of the seedlings. I'll bring you in closer in a minute so you can have a better look. But these are almost a year old now. This is a second year seedling. It's had some training. I've put some bonsai wire around it and started its journey into bonsai, because that's the whole purpose of growing these Japanese maples. Okay, so a bit of a closer look at the seedlings for you. So these are this year's, all looking nice and healthy. Don't worry about the green algae on the compost, it's not harmful. That's a second year seedling there, which I've put some wire around to start training it into a bonsai. These are the ones which we put in the pot, so there's quite a few in there all in together, so I'm just going to leave them to grow in there this year. So stay tuned, we'll go all the way back and we'll make a start, and I'll keep you updated throughout the whole process as they germinate and other various stages of growth. So go back to in a sec and we'll make a start. Okay, so this is the tree in my parents' garden. Really big Japanese maple. And today I'm going to collect some of the seeds from this and grow them. So it's autumn now. The seeds are just about to fall, so perfect time to collect them. You can see them all up there. Okay, so I've collected about 30 or so seeds, maybe more. We've got plenty now, so we'll keep these somewhere nice and cold over the winter. Alright, so this is now spring, the following year after we collected the seeds. And I've just kept the seeds in this bag, and I've kept them in the porch because they need the cold of the winter. You can mimic this by putting them in the fridge, but I just leave them outside somewhere over winter. So there's the seeds all dried out and ready to be sowed. So I'm going to be using these little flat seed trays and some compost. And this is just standard multi-purpose compost. It's cheap stuff, so it's not really that great. So I'm just going to sprinkle these seeds on the surface. In nature they would just land on the soil somewhere, get buried a little bit over winter and germinate in the spring. So we're going to mimic that now. I'm going to spread these over the surface and then cover them lightly, just barely covered. So we're just sprinkling some compost on now, just so that we can't see the seedlings anymore. There's no need to bury them deeply. And I've had them covered with a sheet of glass. They've been in here about a week now. And I've just had a peek earlier on. I know I shouldn't really. And they have started to germinate. So you shouldn't really do this, but there's not really much harm. So I'll just pull one out and show you the little root starting to come out of the seed. And we'll pop that back in. And I'll update you again when they germinate properly. Okay, so this is a few more days later, about another week or so. A lot of them have started to germinate, but I have a feeling this compost is not much good. It's full of big chunks, so I'm pricking these out very gently and I'm just going to put them in another seed tray with some better compost. So I'll just make a little hole for the seedling and very gently plant them in this new compost. I've put some grit in there as well, so it should drain a bit better. And I'll update you again in another little while. Okay, so this is a few days later. I've transplanted quite a few. I think there's about 16 in there and a few more in another tray. So they all seem to have survived transplanting. So I'm just keeping them well watered. And I'll update you again in another little while, maybe a week or two. I'll just keep these watered in the greenhouse, they're not covered anymore. Okay, so this is about 2 or 3 weeks later now. See, they've all got their first set of leaves. Some are starting to get their second set. Some didn't survive. I did let this dry out a bit too much at one point, so today we're going to be putting them into these little pots in some really nice compost. I'm not going to add anything else to this compost this time. So just very carefully I'm just going to dig each one out. So try and get underneath the roots and lever the seedling out of the compost. Like so. Save as many roots as you can, doesn't matter if a few break. And like I said, we'll just put that in a little pot. So fill the pot up most of the way with compost. And then just place the seedling in and fill around it with the compost. And just very gently firm it down as you go. Just make sure the compost's in good contact with the seedling's roots. And then give it really good water. Make sure all the compost's fully saturated. That noise was a tractor driving past, by the way. So I'll get the rest done and I'll get back to you. So that's all the ones transplanted. So we've got 8 in these little pots. And then I decided to also just plant a load in one plant pot, just to save a bit of space. Because they do grow relatively slowly. But also quite fast, if you get what I mean. So they're the smaller ones we just left in there. They're all at various different stages. All the leaves kind of vary a bit as well. So I'll update you again on these in another couple of weeks or so. Alright, so this is about 2 or 3 weeks later, maybe a little bit more. And they've all got their second and third sets of leaves. They're all doing well. They vary a bit in size and leaf shape, which is perfectly normal for seed grown maples. None of them looking really unusual. Sometimes you'll be lucky and get a nice new variety. So these are ones in the pots. Doing a little bit better because they've got their own room, their own space for their roots. And they were slightly bigger seedlings to begin with. Okay, so I might update you again, or I might just leave it for this video. This will be part 1. You'll find out in a minute anyway. I'll get back to you. And so that brings us all the way back to today, when I'm just finishing off filming of this video. This will be part 1. If you're interested, I will keep you updated. If not, then I won't bother. So all the seedlings are doing well. Whether or not I take these out of this pot and put them in separately somewhere, or I could just leave them in there for the rest of the year, which is what I'll probably do. And we'll see how the roots are on these as they get bigger, whether they need repotting or they might be alright in them. So anyway, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Growing Japanese maples from seed is really fun. Obviously I know it's going to be years until they get big, but it's fun all the same, and you can give some away. They're nice little gifts, or you can try and sell some once they've got a bit bigger. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you'll subscribe if you found today's video useful. Feel free to leave a comment if you've got any comments, any questions or anything down below, and I will see you on the next one. Hope you all have a great week. See you later.